form for 2021. Speaking of past champs, what can we expect from Kevin Harvick and his final season? Let's start with old Kevin Harvick as he broke the news in the offseason. This is his final year. What can we expect from 04?
Yeah, I mean, he promised us before the season ended last year that before we went to Daytona, we would know what Kevin Harvick was going to be doing beyond 2023. And he did not let us down. He told us this will be my final year. It tells me I've been doing NASCAR on Fox a long time. He has 790 career starts, Jamie. I remember the very first start at Rockingham, race number 2 of 2001. You know, he's the only driver that won back-to-back races last year by winning Michigan and Richmond. Stewart-Haas Racing was a little bit of a funk, as we saw with all the four of their teams. But, I mean, look at those numbers right there. I don't think, Jamie, that this year should define Kevin Harvick's career, but I do think he's going to go out and he's going to be competitive.
I love it when you make fun of yourself for being older, and I don't have to do that.
I never worked on a car that ran on a beat.
Inside, and Josh and I made a little eye contact and had a little laugh between the two of us. It was good. Look, I think Harvick this year, you're going to see two different people. Kevin Harvick, there's nothing to lose. So I think we could see a more relaxed Kevin Harvick, someone that doesn't get bothered by things as easy as we've seen in the past. But I think you could also see the Kevin Harvick that says, screw it, I'm not racing next year, and I'm going to repay you right now. There's no rules that apply to me. So I think we might see a little bit of two different tales with Harvick, but what a season, or what a career he's had. 22 years in the Cup Series, the 60 Cup wins. It's been an amazing career for him, and I look forward to just kind of watching his journey end.
Yeah, I found it interesting. You know, he won those 2 races, and he was very optimistic as the season wound down. We know he got eliminated very early from the playoffs right after round 1, but he sounded like he was cautiously optimistic about what he was feeling in his race car. He said they hit on something about mid-season, and he felt like that solved a lot of the things they were fighting in the beginning of the year.
Could be dangerous for that 4 team. Speaking of dangerous, I mean, Joey Logano, your defending champion. So, Jamie, what can we expect from him in terms of a repeat?
Well, he got the hardware last year and got a new hairdo, all in like about a month. So quite an off season.
Quite a year
for Joey Logano. You know, Larry just mentioned about Harvick finding something in those 2 races that they thought is what they were missing. The one thing that I caught on from Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe last year was that you were just always chasing something. And 1 week they would be good, and I would talk to Paul Wolfe 2 weeks later, and he'd be like, we're just missing it right now. We don't have it. And I'm like, you just won 2 weeks ago. What don't you have? With this new car, teams just, they chased each other, and it seemed like every time one would find something, the other organizations would find something else that would then leapfrog them ahead of everyone else. But Logano, I mean, in the past 5 or 6 years, he's been the guy that's been a threat for the championship in all of those years. Coming off of the championship, probably has a little bit more confidence than normal, so he'll be a threat. Certainly to start the season, Larry. We know when you end strong, you start strong.
Yeah, if he bottled that confidence he had going to Phoenix, woe be unto the competitors. I'm telling you, I never saw anybody with that much confidence. But yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. It just seems like with the first year of this next-gen car, even Chase Elliott that won 5 races, nobody was dominant throughout the season, because after Joey won that race at St. Louis in June, I mean, they could not even find their way to a top 10 finish. But then all of a sudden, right before the playoffs, they came to life, and you just think about it, they won 2 of the last 4 races, including Martin's or the Las Vegas race, and then going on and winning Phoenix that won them the championship.
You know, Larry Mack, anytime a driver gets 3 wins in a season, makes it to the postseason, you're celebrating the offseason like that was a great year. But for Kyle Larson, I mean, that was a down year for him compared to what he did in his championship season the year before.
Yeah, 3 wins last year, but think about 2021, 10 wins plus the All-Star race, and of course, obviously the championship. And that was the first year with he and Cliff Daniels together. But I talked to Cliff Daniels, his crew chief, just a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know, we've got good speed. But he said, I made a lot of mistakes in execution, and I think we've heard Kyle Larson say, like the Charlotte Roval, I just flat made some mistakes. So, you know, more than 3 wins. There was only 2 other drivers that did that, Joey Logano and Chase Elliott. 3 wins is a lot of wins when you look back at the first year of this next-gen car.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right? If Larson didn't win any races in 2021, you would say 3 was a great year. But coming off the season he had, it seems like he struggled last year. But Larry said the mistakes, and to me that's plagued Kyle Larson his whole career. I was his teammate for multiple years, and he would make a lot of mistakes, but his ability and his talent, it would override those. He could come back from a spin or from speeding on pit road, but that's always kind of been his Achilles heel. If he can clean that up, he clearly will be a championship threat. And they came on at the end of the year, had good speed, actually made it to the Final Four in the Owners' Championship. And as I've watched him in the offseason, he's running the late models again. He's doing a lot of extra racing, along with having another child. But he's back on track. I actually spoke with him just a few days ago. Seemed pretty pumped up to get to the Clash.
Let's talk about one of the more exciting teams, surprise teams we saw last season in Trackhouse. I mean, with what Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain were able to do, what do you expect this year around backing that up?
You know, when I look at Ross Chastain in that one car, you know, I know they did not win a race beyond Talladega in the spring, but when you look at the way he finished off the playoffs with those top fives, those top tens, other than wins, he led almost every column, top fives, top tens, second place finishes of any driver out there. As long as they can just fine tune on that just a little bit, him and Phil Surgeon, his crew chief, I think they're going to be fine. But I am a little bit concerned about the 99 car. He did not have a top five finish after Watkins Glen in August.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Suarez, though, is that they didn't run quite as well as Chastain did. But because of the success that Ross had, that you know that the equipment's there. And the thing with Suarez is that they had speed. They just weren't able to put the whole race together. Having speed and having fast cars, that's the biggest obstacle that all teams or drivers fight. If you have that, being able to put the race together is something that you can work on.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how all things play out for those guys we just mentioned. But you know what?